Hey everybody, I'm back in the kitchen and I'm so happy to be here today. I'm going to be showing you how to make something that is so damn good. Chicken Marsala. Have you ever had it? Seriously, it's one of the most popular chicken dishes at Italian restaurants. Of course, you've got chicken parmesan, but then you've got chicken Marsala. If you've never had chicken Marsala, well, you're missing out because it is simply fabulous. It is made with chicken cutlets that have been breaded and fried in a pan with a little butter, and then simply you make a sauce out of Marsala wine. Now Marsala wine is from Sicily, so it's a southern Italian dish. Marsala wine is very sweet, and you can buy cooking wine at your grocery store that is Marsala, and it's fortified, and it has salt, seasonings, and things of that nature in it. And that's perfectly fine to use in this recipe. If you want to go to the liquor store and get you a bottle of proper Marsala wine, well, that's good too. Now, you could substitute port, you could substitute sherry, you could substitute any number of sweet wines for the Marsala if you don't happen to have it or if you can't find Marsala wine. But don't just think that you're going to be able to substitute any wine for the Marsala, because you're looking for that sweet flavor profile. If you were to use some kind of a Sauvignon Blanc or a Chardonnay, I mean, it's going to be delicious, but you're missing the point. You're wanting that sweet profile. And you're not going to get that in those wines because those wines tend typically to be dry and very little sweetness to them. So let's just stick with the right kind of wine and try to get Marsala if at all possible, because it is really worth it. Okay, well, let's get started, and I'm going to talk you through what we're about to take care of here. I'm going to light my trusty camp stove, and let me look at my flame. We're on about a medium heat, and I've got everything set out here that I'm going to need. Now listen, chicken Marsala comes together just like that. And it doesn't take a whole lot of special ingredients. But when you serve this to somebody, they're going to think that you spent all afternoon in the kitchen making it, simply because it's not something that you eat every day. I mean, unless you're Italian and you work at an Italian restaurant, or if this is just your mama's favorite dish and she makes it all the time. My mama never made this. I guarantee you that. But I know how to read a cookbook, so I've learned to make it myself. And I have had it in restaurants, and it's fabulous. And I'm a big fan of mushrooms, and this cream sauce that we're going to make has mushrooms in it, and so that's always just a winner in my book. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some butter in my pan and get it melting, coming up to temperature. This is 2 tablespoons of butter. You can use salted, you can use unsalted. I don't care, whatever. It just depends on how salty you like things. I like salt, so this is salted butter. That's 2 tablespoons, and I'm going in with about another 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And this is straight up olive oil. It's not extra virgin olive oil because I don't like it. I like straight up olive oil because I think it has more body and it tastes better. That's just me. I'm all about preference, y'all. You do what you do. Do it the way you like it, and it's always going to be right, I promise. So we're going to start off making our dredge. When we dredge things in flour, it allows, in this case, the protein we're using to get a nice crust on the outside. And the flour is also going to serve as a thickener for our gravy later on. So this is not quite a cup. This is maybe 3/4 cup of all-purpose plain flour. Stick it in a Ziploc bag. And I've got my chicken sitting here. And to that, I'm going to add salt and pepper. I prefer to season my dredge. Some people don't. And like I said, it's just a preferential thing. But I like things to be seasoned well before it gets to the table. So I just want to do what else I cook. So this is a 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper and a 1/2 teaspoon of kosher salt. And I stick it in my trusty little bag here. Shake, shake, shake. Shake it around. and it's ready to go. Now we're not going to do a liquid dunk because we don't need to, because the chicken is moist as it is. So we're just going to dredge the chicken directly into the flour mixture. Now I hope y'all do try to make this for your Valentine's sweetheart. They're going to look at you in a whole new light, I promise. People that say that, you know, soulmates exist. Well, maybe they do, but I guarantee you can catch somebody just by being a good cook. I mean, you might not keep them, but hey, that initial snag, you might learn to love one another. I don't know. All I know is this is fit to chew, and you're going to like it. And so maybe love can be found at the bottom of a bowl of chicken marsala. Who knows? Anyway, let's be positive. My fat here is bubbling and hurting along perfect. So I'm going to take my chicken, a few pieces at a time. I'm going to stick it in my bag. And I'm going to give it a little shake. Now this was about, well, it was 2 big breasts of chicken, skinless, boneless breasts. And I cut them in half because they were too big. And, well, there's just no need for a big old piece of chicken like that. It's like a piece of dinosaur laying there. No, we just need it to be nice and flat. Well, I'll show you. See? That's a good width. That's about right. So I'm going to lay it in my pan, and we're going to get a good sear on it. Going in again. It's starting to crumble. I hear it sizzle, sizzle. And you don't want to crowd your pan and cook them all at one time, because then your oil gets too cold and, well, you're just not utilizing the oil to its full potential. So let it cook down and get a good little crust on it, and we'll shake this one and get it ready to go. We're golden. Now, like I said, this comes together fast, so get ready. It always pays to have all your stuff sitting out ready to go, especially when you're making something like this, simply because you don't want to be hunting for everything you need. I'm going to tell you, I like to plan ahead. Brad, he's a terrible guy in the kitchen. I mean, he's a good cook, but he don't plan for nothing. He's always looking for a bowl, or he's looking for a knife. He's looking for something to wipe something down with. And I just shake my head and pass it to him. God love him. He's adorable. But he's not much of a planner in the kitchen. Can't be everything, right? Alright, so this is heating up nicely. I see a little brownness coming up on the sides here. That just means that my butter and the olive oil is crisping up this flour. And these protein structures are changing in the chicken, and it's all coming together, and the moisture is leaching out. Winter, winter, chicken dinner, right? I know, I'm crazy. But this gets quick fast. I'm going to tell y'all, if I don't have one of these little handy-dandy camp stoves, or if you don't have gas as your main form of your cooktop, we're missing out. Trust me, I know. I have an electric pot back there. This thing, I love it. I love cooking on this. So maybe one day I'll have gas in the house. Who knows? Alright, so I'm turning this over. And it's starting to get nice and golden brown on the bottom. I mean, it could go a little longer, but, you know, we don't have all day. You don't want to sit here all day watching my chicken get brown. Alright, so I can fit another couple in this pan because this oil is so nice and hot. So I've moved a couple of these birds around. We'll go back in for another piece. Just lay him in. I'm going to lay this turkey in. And get him nice and golden brown. I hope y'all gonna like this, and I hope that you're gonna leave me a comment because I love hearing from you, and I hope you subscribe to my channel because if you're watching this, it must mean you like hanging out with me. So give me a subscription and just subscribe. It's free. Heck yeah, it's free. Why not? Well, come see me at Jamie Teach Me to Cook. That's where you're going to find this recipe. It's going to be written out in Word format. You're going to be able to print it out. You're going to be able to download it and save it for later, because this is one you're going to want to keep. I promise. And Brad's going to be happy. He doesn't know what I'm making. It's a surprise. So, I can still surprise the old boy. I still got it in me. So this takes probably about, you want to make sure to get that chicken done. You don't have to get it completely done in this particular exercise, because it's going back in the cream sauce when we're done getting the crust on it. So 3 or 4 minutes, the chicken is going to be done. We're just looking to get a little color on it. And let's see what this one looks like. Oh yeah, he's looking perfect. I'm going to turn it over one more time. And then these suckers are going to come out of the pan. And I can put another one in. Let's go ahead and get this last piece in the oil. Oh, there's 2 pieces. Okay, this one will go here. And then I'm going to grab my plate. I'm going to go ahead and take this one out, because I know that it's done. It's a nice thin cut. So I know that he's cooked all the way through, and so is this one, because his juices are running to the top and they're clear. So that just tells me that that bird is done. A lot of folks are scared about chicken and they want to cook the fool out of it, Autumn Burrow. And it is a good practice to cook your meat all the way through, of course. But, you know, some people, they just get freaky about chicken, thinking that you just got to cook it longer than you really need to. Well, that's just doing an injustice to the poor bird. So cook it, but don't cook the crap out of it. You know what I mean? Alright. We'll get this piece out. He looks nice and golden brown. He smells good too. Woo, there you go. And this one, he's a little bit thicker. But I'm satisfied that he's as done as I want him at this point. Now I'm going to keep flipping and turning. Okay, so I've got everybody out of the pan except these last 2 small pieces. And they look good to me. They're not exactly browned up a whole lot, but they were very thin pieces, and so I know that they're cooked all the way through. So I'm just going to go ahead and get those guys out of the pan, stick them over here on my plate, just in the holding position, because I'm not done. We're going to use it in a minute. But now, you see all this? It looks like a lot. Well, I mean, it is a lot. But we need this because this is going to be the base of our gravy. And whenever you make a gravy or a sauce, well, you have to have a certain amount of fat, because that's where your flavor is. And you see all these lovely bits and pieces that are on the bottom of the pan? That's gold right there, baby. That's what we want to see. So, and it's not burned in the least. If you notice that it smells a little bit scorched, that means you're cooking too high. So you need to turn it down a little bit. Now this is a big old 16-ounce package of baby portobello mushrooms. And I'm just sticking them straight in this pan. Now I have, doing my research, I read all kinds of recipes, and some people only went with an 8-ounce container of mushrooms, while others went, you know, with just like a half a cup of sliced mushrooms. I'm like, what's the point? A half a cup of mushrooms? Give me a break. Go big or go home, right? That's what I say. Anyway, I put all these suckers in this pan. That's a whole big 16-ounce container. And I'm going to toss them around just to kind of get them going. And then I'm going to, oh yeah, coming along good. I'm going to dice my onion. Now, if you happen to have access to a shallot, then by all means use a shallot. I just didn't have a shallot. So I'm using a little yellow onion. And it's totally fine. They have, you know, they're both onions. They both have a very similar flavor profile. So I'm all about using what you got on hand. Why not? It's going to be good because I know the onion's good. So, see. I know I've got flour all over me, but that's okay. I'm in my kitchen, I can be as dirty as I want to be. So I'm going to cut this sucker just a little bit. Because I don't want great big pieces of onion. I want him minced kind of fine. And so, this is going to allow me to do that. I'm going to chop him up. And we're only really looking for a couple of tablespoons of onion. Because we're just looking for flavor. We're not really looking for big old haunching pieces of onion to be in our sauce. So, this looks good. This is, half of that little onion. About maybe 3 tablespoons. Perfect. Throw it in here. That's what we want. Now, if you have minced garlic in a jar, props to you. Use the heck out of it. I don't have any. I've got to use this whole garlic clove. Stir this up. Ooh, this smells awesome. Anyway, so I'm going to cut these into little pieces after I smash them just a little bit. Break them open. Boom. Then I'm just going to mince them up. I love garlic. You might think this is a lot, and if you do think it's a lot, well then by all means, cut it in half. I like garlic. I am no vampire, apparently, because I'm a garlic fool. Brad likes garlic too, so we're in the same boat. So if I eat a lot of garlic and he eats a lot of garlic, well then the sugar's all the sweeter, because we're both singers. Alright, so you see how much garlic I've got there? It's considerable. It's going straight in. Exactly what I want. Now I'm stirring this up. And these mushrooms have already started to cook down. And that's good. That just means that they're losing some of their moisture. And their flavor is releasing. And that's what it's all about. It's flavor, flavor, flavor. At least to me. So, we're ready to add some liquid. Now, I'm going to turn my heat back up because I'm about to deglaze this pan. Now, when you deglaze a pan, always be careful. Especially if you're using alcohol, which I am about to use my alcohol. I have got a cup of the Marsala wine. See? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Kind of stinky. This is a cup of chicken broth, and then I've got a cup of heavy cream. And I'm going to hit this first with my Marsala wine, and I'm going to deglaze this pan. So you see how the bottom, let me move all this little aside so I can show you. See all that in the bottom? Well, it's all sticking to the bottom, and that's wonderful. I'm about to remedy that. We're about to get rid of all those little bits and pieces sticking. By pouring that in, it's going to shock the bottom, and all those little bits and pieces are going to release, and those flavor bits are going to make the gravy fargin' awesome. Hello. So you just pour it in, let it sizzle, and then go to work with your utensil. I prefer a wooden spoon for this maneuver. You use what you want to. But this wooden spoon worked perfect. And you can feel the little bits and pieces on the bottom. Just kind of scrape them up. Oh yeah. And the alcohol in that Marsala wine is cooking out right now. Because we're not looking to have the alcohol present in our sauce. We want the flavor, that sweet flavor profile from the wine, but we're not looking for the alcohol. So this is the best way to cook the alcohol out. It's evaporating, all the alcohol is fluttering away. Alright, looks pretty good to me. So I'm going to hit this with my cup of chicken broth. Again, I've read all kinds of recipes. I've seen beef broth. Why would you use beef broth with a chicken dish, though? I mean, if you just didn't have anything else, I'd use water instead of beef broth. But, I mean, I am not the policeman of the kitchen, I guess. I just think it's kind of stupid. Anyway, whatever. Use what you want. You like beef broth in your chicken marsala? Well then, perhaps I am missing out on something. I'll consider it. Alright, so this is cooking nicely. I'm going to bring this up to temperature. And I'm going to add my cream in just a minute. I am going to go ahead and get my fresh herb going here. Now this is just curly parsley. And I don't know how much is here because it doesn't matter. I'm just going to move this to the side just a little bit. I just want a nice handful, just a couple of tablespoons that I'm going to chop up. And we're going to add this at the end for a bit of brightness. And it's colorful and it's pretty and all that. But I do love a fresh herb. It smells good. But if you don't have a fresh one or fresh herb to use, like, I mean, you could use some fresh thyme. You can use, heck, you could even use oregano, I guess. You wouldn't want to use much. Fresh thyme is always lovely in Italian food. But I prefer this parsley. Parsley is kind of a neutral flavor, but it is a very bright and green flavor. And I dig it. I'm going to turn my heat down a little bit because I don't smell any more alcohol at all, so I know that it's cooked all the way out. I'm going to grab my last piece of butter. Boom, so that's a total of 3 tablespoons of butter that's going into our sauce. And I know it looks kind of loose, a little bit runny, and that's fine. This is exactly the way it's supposed to look. But I am going to get a spoon. I'm going to taste it for salt. Because it's always better to add it a little at a time because you can't take it away. If you oversalt something, you're screwed. So here goes. Sehr gut. Das ist sehr gut. Yeah, it's very good. I don't think that I'm going to do any more salt at all. I mean, the salt that I put in the dredge and the salt that's in my butter and with the salt that's in that chicken broth, it all has just come together beautifully. So I don't really think I need any more. But at this point, I'm going to add my heavy cream. Let me get a spatula because I don't want to leave any. I want to get it all out. Now, I'm turning it down. I'm going to pour this straight in. Heavy cream is a little bit more forgiving when you're using it to cook with than other types of dairy. If you're going to use straight milk, you can. 1%, 2%, or whole milk. Those are all allowed. Or if you want to use half and half, if you're just looking to make it not so rich, because this is the full meal deal. This is heavy whipping cream. And it is the most flavorful, in my opinion. Of course, it's also the most calorie laden. So, like I said, go big or go home. But the heavy cream is more forgiving with the heat. If you're going to be cooking with a different kind of dairy product, you have to watch it because it'll split. Then you've got little curds floating around in your sauce, and it's just not very becoming. It's not pretty. So I've added my cream, and I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more black pepper because, well, you can always use more black pepper. So I'm just going to do a little bit here until I feel like, well, until I'm done grinding is basically how I gauge it. I'm not measuring, I'm just, you know, you can whistle a tune or you can, I don't know. There is no reason to my method, no rhyme, no reason. I'm kind of nuts. It's okay, to know me is to love me. So I'm going to taste it one more time just to see what the cream did to it. One more time. Hot dog. That's good. It's so good. And it's going to be really, really good when this reduces by half. So I'm going to take my chicken And while it's simmering like this, got my heat on medium, I'm gonna put this bird back down in my sauce. And the flour that's on this chicken is gonna work as my thickening agent. And oh, plop. And as this sauce reduces, the moisture's evaporating, it's gonna thicken up. Kind of like when you're making macaroni and cheese and you put your milk in there and then it's all loosey-goosey and you're like, this is not thick. And then all of a sudden, magically, after you put your cheese sauce in and you let it cook for a second and pull it off that heat, then it just sets up perfect. It's gonna happen. I promise. So, everybody's in the pond and they're all covered in this yummy unctuousness. It's perfect. We're gonna let this cook about 10 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and put my parsley in because, oh, that's Oscar. He wants to go outside, so it's just about perfect timing. I like the addition of the parsley for the brightness, but I also like it to cook in and flavor that sauce properly. So put my lid on, and I'm gonna about 10 minutes, and then we'll be back and we'll check it out, and I'll show you how to serve it up. Okay, it has been probably 12 to 15 minutes actually. 3 cups of liquid is a considerable amount to reduce, so we've had to let it cook just a little bit longer than what I anticipated, but it has cooked down into the most beautiful cream sauce ever. It smells lovely. It looks amazing. I was just thinking how amazing it is cooking with the heavy cream, because this has been really at a hard simmer. It's been boiling, and that cream holds together and it doesn't split and break. I'm telling you, this sauce is ridiculous. So I'm going to taste of it. Well, first I'm going to show you my little trick. It's not even a trick, it's just how I kind of know when my sauce is as thick as it needs to be. I'll go in with a spoon and I'll turn it over, and if I can run my finger through the back of the spoon and it leaves a mark, a trail, and it doesn't run, that tells me that that sauce is good and thick and that we're at the point to where we could serve this. Heck yeah, we can serve it. I'm trying it. Shut up. That's all you gotta say is shut up. It is so good. If you like mushrooms, you're gonna love this. The flavor from these mushrooms have intensified so much. Hallelujah. Well, it's time to plate it up. I'm gonna show you how I plate it up. And you can do what you want to do. I've heard of people serving it over rice. You can serve it over polenta. You can serve it over potatoes. If you want to serve it over potatoes, that's your business. Mashed potatoes, roasted potato, however you want to serve it. Or put it in a bowl and just serve it as, you can serve it as soup. That's a little indulgent, so don't do that. What I have done, you see my little fancy bag. I made some spaghetti noodles earlier. This is thin spaghetti. I cooked my noodles al dente, and then I pulled them out of the water. I put them in this bag while they were still bloody hot. I dripped just a few drops of olive oil and squished them around just so they wouldn't stick together. They have stayed al dente in this bag. They have not turned to mush. They're perfect. If you're one of those people, I'm going to get preachy here. If you're one of those people who believe that it's okay to put your pasta in your pasta bowl, your pot, and cook the fool out of it, and then cut the heat off and let it sit there in that water stand in, good God, I can't even hardly talk about it. Y'all, it's a tragedy. It's just short of sacrilege to do that to pasta. The pasta deserves better treatment, y'all. Cook it properly. Pasta is, I love pasta. It's one of my favorites. But if you let it get super saturated and soggy and gross, well, it just turns into a hot mess. And who wants that? You work too hard on your sauce to blow it in the presentation. And then the pasta, for Pete's sake, put it in a bag after you drain all the water off. And then put it in a warm place. I wrapped it up in a tea towel, and then I stuck it in the microwave. And it kept it just as nice and warm as I wanted it to be. If you needed it to be a little bit warmer, look, the heat's still coming off of this sucker. I guess you could just put it in the microwave for a minute or two if you wanted to. Not even a minute, maybe 35 seconds just to zap it. But look, that pasta, well, this ain't a pasta blog post, but let's see. Perfection. Honestly, be good to your pasta. Don't overcook it. That's all I got to say about that. Now, I have put my pasta on my plate, and I'm ready to go at it with my chicken. So, here goes. I'm going into this unctuous, lovely, wonderful cream sauce. And I'm just going to put it on there just like that. Woo. Gonna get my little ladle. And I am gonna scoop up some of this mushroomy wonderfulness. Holy mackerel. Look at that. Oh my goodness. Now, to just make it even more over the top wonderful, of course I gotta put a little cheese on it. You don't have to if you don't want to. I just like to. This is Pecorino Romano. If you had some Parmigiano Reggiano, you should go hit it with that. But this, just shave a little on the top. Just like that. And then, before you present it to your love, just sprinkle a little bit more parsley on the top. And you can consider that a done day. It is, it's heavenly. Seriously. So let's cut into it. Let's see what we're dealing with. Get my trusty knife and fork. Or my knife and my fork. My knife and my fork. Let's go at it. You ready? Oh, the chicken is just tender. Don't even need the knife, really. I'm going to go at it. Get the mushroom on some sauce. I'm not going to get any pasta in this bite because, well, it'll be a hot mess. Here goes. Well done, me. Seriously, y'all, you're going to like this. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you take the time to make this. Valentine's Day, birthdays, a Wednesday. Whatever day you want to make it, do it. Because you're worth it. You're worth it, really. It's delicious. It's easy. It's inexpensive. It's a crowd pleaser. I think you're going to love it. Come see me over at JamieTeachMeToCook.com, where you're going to find the recipe, read it out in Word format. You can save it, you can print it. I don't care what you do with it. I just want you to make it and use it and love it. You can always come see me over at Facebook. You can find a pin at Pinterest. And you can always find me at Instagram doing something crazy. Because that's just the way I live my life. Anyway, I've enjoyed being here with y'all. I do hope that you give me a like, give me a subscription, subscribe to my channel, come see me at YouTube. I think that's all the propaganda I got to throw at you. Have a great afternoon. Bye, y'all.